Whoa, and I got an echo in here. I don't know if anybody else heard it. I got an echo. So let me check what's going on here. Hang on a second. Well, here, hi. So I got to go check something over and see what's going on.
No, that was me.
That was you. Okay.
I have YouTube pulled up as well as StreamYard so I can follow along in chat.
Right. Okay. How's everybody doing out there in the side chat? Let's see who else there. So first one in was the Evil Twin, Gray Man Prepping. And then Super Scout came in, then Mary Beth Smith, Stringfield Ridge Farm, Walt Rogers, and I froze. Then Hugo Homestead, CR from north of the border, that's Creative Redundancy. Kalen Strain. And of course, Ray popped in there, started talking to him. And Idaho Garden Girl. Prep for Eternity Homestead. I believe that it was Country Homestead Preacher, and he changed his channel name. And everybody's talking back and forth. Emma 3010 is in the house. P2E, Prepping to Endure. And Shady Hill Homestead. Lewis is here. And David's Mule Chain Homestead's here. Ginger Ninja is here. And I'm caught up. Okay. As far as a slideshow, I decided I wasn't going to do a slideshow on this because this is basically, a lot of this is going to be coming from the side chat. We're going to be trying, coming up with stuff up here, but a lot of the information is going to be coming from the side chat about your ideas. And we'll be sharing ideas here to help each other out. And so, investing in your homestead, where do you start? For some people, it's, when they're first getting it. Carol's in the house. Hey, fishes. And so, and some of them, and some people are planning on it and not there yet, like Ray. He's planning on his homestead up in Alaska, and he's looking at about 3 years to go up there.
Yeah.
All right. So he's got a lot of planning and budgeting and figuring out what he's going to be getting, what he's going to be taking up there, what he's going to have to get once he gets up there. So, but there's, a lot of people out here already have, quote, mini homesteads or urban homesteads, where they're, trying to grow, garden, fruit trees and other stuff. And then there's other ones that have acreage where they actually are putting in, doing stuff like Stringfield Ridge and Cortney of Whyde Family, Audra over at Homesteading in Idaho, where they have land and they're doing stuff and trying to do the best they can with what they have. And one of the things I had a person, asking me about questions about a month ago, and that's when I put this on the list of ones to do was, well, what do we get first? I mean, what's the most important thing to have for a homestead? And while I don't have a slideshow, I do have a couple of, I'll just show you what I got here. This is going to be, you're going to be, just check it out. So I Googled top 10 items for homesteaders. And let's go back up to the top. Homesteaders must-haves outside. And it says C's, PVC cutter. Yeah. Okay, that one's okay. And that wound up being 56 essential items for a homesteader. 56 items. Okay, let's skip by that one. Next one here came up. Number one item on this next list was a pickup. If you don't have a pickup, it might be a good idea to purchase one. That I can wholeheartedly agree with, because it's kind of hard to haul stuff around in a minivan. If you're getting a load of rock or manure, you don't want to be hauling that in the minivan. The one thing that a lot of them, these things showed up, and I disagree with it. And let me explain. It's a composter. Oh, you got to eat a composter. No, you don't have to buy a expensive composter. All you need is a couple sheets of plywood, couple and some several pallets that you can put together and make a bin that way. You don't need to go out and spend $150 or $200 on one of these fancy composters. Of course,
hell, I won't even waste my money on plywood.
Yeah.
Get yourself a 55-gallon barrel, or even better yet, an old trash can.
Yeah. And the way prices
free.
are going up on stuff, those composters that you buy in the store that has a drum and you turn it every now and then, those are probably up to $300 now. I haven't looked in a while. So,
and you know, the funny thing about those things is you can build it yourself with no knowledge of metalworking for, you know, less than $75.
Yeah. And the first composter that my parents actually built, when they built the composter, well, my dad picked up some scrap plywood. You couldn't use it for anything else. He got it for free. Several. We ripped it in half to make it 2 foot by 8 foot pieces, and he made a 16 by 16 foot bin that we just started piling all the branches, cow manure, chicken manure in, and it was be go in there and just with a tractor scoop up the bucket load, turn it a couple times, and then when it was ready, scoop it up and take it out to where we needed it. Hey, gear grinding, Gardner Josh, and who else slipped in here? Just trying to, I want to make sure if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. Hey, welcome to the channel here. All right. One of the things though that only a couple of them mentioned, and I think it's very important. First aid skills. You got to know how to do first aid. But one of the other ones here said growing spaces, water source, composting system. No, you just need a place to compost. Storage space, evaluate your space. Yeah, go through a list of projects. Make a list. Projects and ideas. Because as you make a list, you're going to, items that you're going to list are going to impact other items. And when you try laying a plot out, like, behind me here, you start laying it all out, things are going to change and you realize, this is more important. I need to do this. And it gets more of a priority area and stuff like that. But anyways, one of the articles I found, it was kind of funny. The title was kind of funny to me in I don't know how to say it. It's not sarcastic, but in a weird sort of way. Survivalism meets homesteading. I think homesteading has always been survivalism. And, it says reading time, 6 minutes to read this article. We're just going to blow through and stuff. You got to list several of its other articles, good articles to look at, but essential for every homesteader. All right. A notepad, a pen, and a comfortable place to sit and work where you can write stuff out. Here, the number one item here, a pickup. Again, a pickup. I think everybody here has a pickup. Composter, no, you don't need a composter. You just need a way to do it. Outdoor clothing. This one I thought, most people don't realize that they're just starting on it. And if they've been in the city, half those city or 3/4 of city clothes, they ain't going to last out there. Tools, yes. First aid again.
A couple sets of bib overalls work real well.
Yeah. Outside structures, especially if you're going to, you go first, if you're raising chickens, you're going to need a chicken coop, a chicken run. If you're doing goats, you're going to need a shed for the goats. You're going to need some sort of a barn or something to put stuff in. And some of these are really kind of, vegetables, vegetable crops and gardens. To me, that's a given, but you got to figure out what you're going to grow. Livestock options, though, is I didn't need to line it up like that. Livestock options is one for people that are already doing a little bit, like I'm trying to do stuff. Courtney's thought about possibly getting some pigs. We thought about it for a while. We kind of, after, smelling the what was around here, we got to say, nah, we don't want any pigs. We're going to stick with something a little bit better. So we're actually looking at rabbits, and some chickens. There's different things that we're still looking at. Our 5-year plan totally changed when we bought the new property across the street from the compound. Things just changed dramatically as far as that goes. But looking at what we're looking at getting possibly 2 or 3 beef cows to rotate through, as we need beef, and raise them up, fatten them up, and graze them on the land here.
So those are going to be a lot of work for you.
Yeah, I've raised cows before. The worst part about cows is when you have a milking cow. That is the worst part about a cow, especially if it's like a Guernsey Jersey mixed with small teats, where you can't really do the proper milking on it. You actually have to do stripping the entire time. My wife has thought about possibly goats or getting sheep. And here's one for you: how to raise quail for meat and eggs.
I do quail. I plan on rabbits. When I get out to Alaska, goats will be on the list just because they're another meat and milk source.
Yeah. But yeah, so there were several of them here. Going back to the other one that had 56 essential items. I'm not even going to go through this. So I'm going to start on a couple of them here, though. A good way to reference any questions you have. Farmer's Almanac. A list of good YouTube channels. Those that are doing it. Bland. Speak of one of them. Bland's Promised Land Ranch just came in. You want to talk about raising beef and stuff? They're the ones that moved from the city out to Texas and started raising beef. So they have a lot of good information on their channel too. So there's a lot of good channels out here to check on that you can use, and you basically create a YouTube library. Because if they have a good video on something that you like, you can save that to your own private wish list, so you can always refer back to it. Now, the big one here, money and land seem to be the big ones and stuff, and these are tough ones. But yeah, so they just went on with a bunch of different things, and I can't composter again. You don't need one of these friggin' composters.
Oh.
Yeah. This is for this is for someone like Steve. Of course, there are trainers there down in LA in suburbia where they want to keep. They don't have a lot to do, but
I want you to look at that picture for a minute. Now look at it. Now think outside the box, people. A simple A-frame, 2 A-frames, and a 55-gallon barrel with a little slot cut in it so that you can access it. See how easy that is? And that thing right there is probably a good $200 or $300. And I just told you how to build one for less than $75.
Yeah. So, yeah. But one of the things I disagree with this one here, and this is one of the ones that you got to figure out for budgeting what you want to do on your homestead as far as different sizes. And they say a small utility vehicle. And everything due from mowing the yards to digging a foundation. No, it's not a utility vehicle if it can dig. It's a tractor. It's a compact tractor. There's a difference. Not a utility vehicle, a compact tractor. So there's this is something to think about. And for it's okay, hang on. I just saw somebody just went flying by. All right, Fisher said the list Amazon had a few good tips last time. Bought it recently. Okay. Yeah. And of course, Teresa and Lee, give good information. They had ran a series on foraging. And then Kathy at North Star Prepsteader ran that one on herbs for about, 5 months, I think it was. It was just every Monday, it was a different one, different herb, going over the properties and the benefits of different herbs. Okay. Let's catch it back up here. Yeah. See, I was right. A dehydrator. Absolutely. Over a composter. Absolutely. Okay. Depending on how much land you have, depends on the size of tractor you're going to be getting. Now, a lot of people here know about Laura and Chris at Hedgehog Homestead. They just moved from as he called it, the pit of the United States, Portland, to Tennessee, and they're checking out different tractors, checking the property, going around on it, seeing what size tractor they're going to need to be there. And they got a lot of stuff, different ideas and plans for the place, and so they're trying to budget the size of the tractor against the land.
I'd have to say that a tractor would probably be a later on purchase. It is a huge investment, first of all. So that's going to dip into your money, and you really don't want to dip into your money until you get things established. Whatever you can do with a tractor, you can do. Now, granted, it's a lot more work, but you can do without the tractor.
Yeah, unless you happen to have 160 acres like Chris and Laura do.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little. That's not a homestead. That's a straight out farm and ranch. Okay.
And the other thing is too, they're also looking at getting, because they got so much wooded area on that. They got so much lumber there. They're looking at getting a.
You better say wood mill.
Yeah, a sawmill.
I was going to say, if you got
sawmill.
If you got enough wood, enough trees on your property, that for me, that is number one, or up there within the top 5 things that I will be dragging from the lower 48 to Alaska.
Yeah. And like, who was it? Weedham and Reap was talking about theirs, and they put a video about how they extended the length of their sawmill. And what's so funny is this past summer, my neighbor across the street here, Curtis, you see some of the videos, you know, his son was actually doing some disking for me before I got the discs, my own set of discs, that he had bought one, and then they went and built a 20-foot extension to their sawmill. And I'm trying to convince Curtis he needs to start filming this stuff he does and putting it on YouTube. I mean, he does some amazing things, and yeah. Anyways, so if you have trees or you have access to trees, that's the thing is Curtis doesn't have any trees he's cutting down on his 1.25 acres. He goes out when people are taking down trees, goes out with his trailers and his skip loaders gets the wood off their property. They were just taking trees down to get rid of it, and he's been cutting some beautiful slabs over there.
And best thing about that, he's saving his resource for a later date.
Yeah, and hang on, something just shot by here. Where is it? Oh, all right. Teresa says they have 8 acres and no tractor.
I agree with guest for our acres. Yeah, I mean, I think right around 8 to 10 acres, you can get away with no tractor. It would be nice. It is definitely a convenience item. Anything over 10 acres, yeah, you better. That's just too much work for one person. So yeah, at that point you would need to have something like a tractor.
Yeah. Well, see, I got 6 acres over here, and I've worked 2 tractors to death over here doing stuff. And I've actually rented excavators and dozers because the guy that had the property beforehand abused that property, screwed it up so bad you couldn't even walk across it without tripping and falling in one of these stupid little ditches he dug, trying to get water going everywhere from one of his 11 irrigation ditches for 5 acres. It was just ridiculous. And so I mean, I had to get it back into a decent shape, and so it's right now, I was saying, my wife and I are looking at, she's seen how I've been working my poor little Coyote tractor to death. And so now we're thinking about having to get not a skid steer, but a track steer or a track loader, a mini track loader to work over there.
Well, things are definitely going to be dependent upon your particular situation. If you got land so screwed up like that, yeah, I'd probably think of getting a tractor right away too, just to fill in.
Yeah. And the thing is, so like today, we had 3 inches of snow last night. So this morning I was up early, just as soon as the guy got done plowing the streets. I got there and clearing the snow they plowed off out of my driveway, out of my daughter's driveway, cleaning both our long driveways, getting all the snow out of it. And you know, if it was all asphalt or concreted driveways, yeah, I could just use a snow blower, go out there and, but it's the gravel driveway, so you need to use a tractor to do it. Hey, Lone Star Preps. And so to me, one of the first things we bought when we bought the property, within a couple months of buying it, we bought an old 9N tractor, a 1939 Ford tractor with an angle blade on the back. And basically, that was because we knew the snow situation up here, so we need to plow snow, and that's what I did with that up here quite a bit. Well, one of the things to think about is, all right, you have land. If you like Laura and Chris, they don't even have a house on that land yet, so they got bare acreage, with a lot of woods on it and stuff to build on. But if you get an old place like we did across the street there that had a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house on it with a 2-car garage on it and with a little rinky-dink shop off the back of it, there are certain things you need to do to work it. And one of the first ththings I did as far as that, cargo containers. I got 2 cargo containers when they were still under $3,000 each. These are 40-footer high cubes, which means they're 9 foot tall inside, not 8. And so, because there's a lot of stuff to store and everything. And the first year after I had that I parked the tractor inside of it because, try to keep the snow off it. And then I could start it up and, open the doors and just head out and start doing stuff and park it back inside again.
Well, I mean, cargo containers are very convenient little things. If you have property with no land, have a cargo container placed on that property, you got yourself an instant house. It's very easy to transfer them into houses.
Speaking of which, California Survival, he's a young man out in the middle of the Mojave Desert. He had one of those pop-up trailers, his little trailer. The roof pops up and a tent thing folds out on it. And that's what he was living in. And he got a cargo container. They were working on putting a regular, house door in it, entry door and stuff. And he came home one night and they had the severe Santa Ana winds, unlike anything that he's seen in the last several years since he's been out there. And it totally destroyed his little camper. Yeah. And so now he's, but he had finished rehabbing this little shed that was there, like a 20 by 20 little shed, house thing that was there. So he's got a place to live still, but just the things you do while you're trying to figure out what you want to do to improve your property first, or what you want to do if your property's ready. Are you going to invest most of your time into developing the garden area, or are you going to, put the fences out to divide it up to put in livestock? So with that, everyone in the side chat that has land and doing homesteading, if you could go back in time to when you got your property and change one thing you did, what would be the one thing you'd change if you could go back in time and tell yourself, no, do it this way instead of that way, or get this instead of that? What is the one thing you would change? So my parents just bought an old, this Lone Star say, I just bought an old MF with a shredder, disc, 2 augers, root puller for 12-acre property. Cool. Well, everybody's thinking about what would be the one thing they change. I can tell you right now, the one thing I changed, I would have twisted my wife's arm. I would have begged, borrowed, crawled on my knees, given her foot rubs 24/7 to get a bigger tractor than that 24 horsepower Coyote. And actually what we should have gotten probably would have been a Bobcat track steer, not a skid steer, but it has the tracks on it, just like it looks like a little skid steer, but it's a track loader with with several different types of attachments for the front. It would have been, being able to do so much more, so much quicker. And
Emma 3010. I have that book. I like that book.
Okay. Book 5 Acres and Independence by Cons back in the 30. Here we go. Chicken coop. A better chicken coop to begin with. That's one of the things I wanted to get another cargo container, but my wife overruled me. Was I wanted to get another 40-footer, and I could divide it up. And I divided it into 3, and one of the sections I want to divide it into was going to be a chicken coop. It's got the walls, everything else on it. I just need to do is put a door in it for the chickens to get into, and a door inside where I can go into the different areas and stuff. But she goes, "We're not getting chickens just yet. Until we get chickens and see what we really need for chickens." No, not getting it. Okay. Where was it? Containers. Okay. Better chicken coop. Bigger and better. Yeah. Since water is life, really. Shady Hillstead, buy more land. Yeah. And
that's very important right there.
Yeah, Donnie says probably set more realistic goals. Try to do more. Try to get more skills before we sold our 3,800 square foot house and moved into a camper. Yeah.
Well, that first sentence is probably the most important.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. When we were looking at buying, we started making a 5-year plan, my wife and I. And we realized 5-year plans are going to change as we learn more and find out, oh crap, this isn't going to work here. We need to come up with something different. And then of course, when we bought this other house here, got dropped in our laps. It's like, okay, we've really got to change things around. Yeah, the skid steers, if anything that had, other than John Deere, that is using the Bobcat style quick change buckets, which is Cat uses it, Bobcat, Kubota, Case, they pretty much all use the same attachments. John Deere has the different one, which actually is easier. Lost Ray. John Deere has one that's easier to attach from a ride-on tractor, because on those skid steers and stuff, you ride up on it, you can see the attachment. The other one, the arm of the loader bucket's way out there and you can't see, so the John Deere works better on that. I guess kind of get you. Okay. 10-acre utility tractor, you can do it all. 10-acre. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is, unfortunately, they can't. Hindsight is 2020, especially since 2020 is. Oh, your computer died again, huh?
Yeah, I knew it was a planned outage. I knew it was going to happen. Just wasn't sure exactly the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff there that I would, if I realized, when we bought the property in 2016, I would have resurrected my Gray Man Prepping back then. I probably would have changed the name of it over to been the Camppatton Family Compound back then. But I would have started a YouTube channel sooner, and I probably would have done things a bit differently, learned a lot more before that on how to do videos and stuff. And so, and I've been following people, other channels a lot better. Okay. Would have done raised bed sooner. Yeah. See, and that's the thing is with my mom, when she moved back in with us, it was, raised planter beds all the way because, she couldn't bend down to get on the ground to do stuff. She had to work from a raised planter bed because of she had a half a kneecap on one side from an accident. So she really couldn't bend down and stuff. Nah, that isn't why he disappeared.
Hey, I'm all for John Deere Green. I remember John. I loved in Nebraska. That's all you ever saw was John Deere.
Yeah. On the new property we have here, that's one of the things I've been talking with my wife. I'm going to be working hard on here. We're going to start putting in some fruit trees here, besides the one I already planted on the other side that my daughters are going to be maintaining. But for here, we got to figure out what trees we want. We've been talking about the way the wind blows here on the one side of the property along the street. We're going to get a bunch of those like juniper tree bushes that grow up to about 15, 20 feet tall, and we're going to get a bunch of those and put across there for a windbreak, because the wind blowing around here sometimes can damage the trees and that. But yeah, so fruit trees we want to put in: apricots, apples, peaches, and the nectarine. Some of those we want to put in. If we go ahead and she allows me to get, since she's the accountant, if she allows me to buy a track loader, then we'll be getting several orange trees and lemon trees put in those IBC totes. That way in the wintertime, I can just pick it up. It has the strength to pick it up, take it into the shop, and put it in the shop where they won't freeze during the wintertime. And there was a question there.
Kaylin, yes,
how long have I been prepping? 1971 is when I really got into it, after the 71 Selmar earthquake in Southern California.
Kaylin, I know. I used to work in a machine shop, and we made we made a lot of parts for John Deere over there in Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, when my mom, before my sister got her involved in the land deal, my mom used to had an acre and a quarter there, and a John Deere 855 is what it was. And you had postal digger, brush hog on it, loader bucket, drag box. And when I wasn't using it on the place, on the weekends, I'd go out and use the brush hog to mow the pastures and stuff and make fire breaks and stuff for people.
See, now with me, with fruit trees, I'm very limited because there's not a whole lot a lot of fruit trees that are going to grow out there in Alaska. So I've already got my fruit trees situated as to what I will be growing for those. But the main thing is to know your area, because some fruit trees don't grow well in other areas.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too, like nobody around here grows has any citrus trees in the ground, because, the snow and it freezes, but if you have a barn shop, something where you can heat, and you have them in like a 250 gallon IBC tote, and you pick that sucker up and you just move it indoors when it starts to frost, they'll survive the winter. Because when we lived on the north rim of the Grand Canyon, my mom had an orange tree and a fig tree that she kept up there, and we built like a little greenhouse for them for the wintertime out of bales of straw and plastic and stuff, and they survived all the snow up there at the north rim of the Grand Canyon.
Well, first of all, let's not call orange trees trees. They are not a tree. They are not in the tree family. They are actually shrubs. Believe it or not, they are genetically shrubs. We just grow them like trees.
Yeah. Well, some of them shrubs down there in Southern California get to be 25 feet tall.
Well, I'm just saying, technically, they're not trees. They're shrubs. We just grow them like trees.
One of the things, so what like we're doing, we're still looking at, and our plans are changing as we investigate and find out what works around here is livestock. My wife wanted to have put in a couple garden plots. One was going to be a chicken garden. Basically, you raise the plants and stuff, you out there. The chickens go around scratching. You don't have a lot of chickens, but you plan to have enough stuff growing so they have enough bugs and stuff out there, everything around to live off of and fertilize for the you got a response here from Stringfield Ridge on that shrub thing. What? My whole life has been a lie? LOL.
Sorry to burst your bubble.
And there were a lot of things that we were thinking about getting, and we were look at alpacas for a while, and we saw all the morning glory and other weeds that were here. It's like, well, no, not for this area, because morning glory are poisonous to alpacas and several of the other plants that grow wild here. The Russian kosher, which was imported, it's a pest plant now, is not good for them either. And then we were looking at, we're chickens and stuff and everything. She wanted to do the chicken garden, and then she decided, it's going to be too much. Since my daughter's raising tons of chickens and giving eggs away or selling them, that we might probably not going to do that. So we've also looked at goats, but the problem is once we learned here, that goats, unless you have 10 or 15 goats, the goats like to get out and go looking for other goats, because they are very social animals. So you got to have plenty of goats to keep them in place. And replacing all the fencing on the other property over there would have been very expensive. So we kind of, all right, no goats. And sheep is like, no, we don't want to work 10 sheep. So we've gone through different things. The only thing we've settled on that is for sure is that, we'll get some cows, because Brandon raised cows over here on this side, and they had cows on the other side. And so we know cows will do good here and they won't get out. Oh, hold it. Fishy says a question here. Bananas are not trees, they plant. So why not turn citrus into shrubs? Maybe we need the schools to get their poop straight. What the heck? Just trying to keep up on stuff.
Fishes, I'm sorry about that, but I've only got 2 hands, and it's a pain in the butt to work this stupid cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can research and stuff, but some of the stuff we researched didn't match up. The information they were given did not match up the area. Once we got up here and started asking people, oh, this works, that doesn't. So there are things once you actually get into that area, that there's the climate can be just enough different and the soil just enough different as is 15 miles away. So there are different things to take in consideration that you can't even find out until you're on the land. Of course, then once you're on the land, you're working it, then you realize, okay, I screwed up on this. I should have done this way here. Should have done this. And there are just different things. But the thing is, you just like, what do I want to invest in on the homestead to make it better? And that's one of the things, like, we're kicking around the idea of, so we got this 38 by 40 foot shop here, but it's a little overkill to use as a garage, and we're trying to use it as a garage. I can't use it to the full shop's potential. So we're talking about possibly on the other side of the house, putting in just a 3-car garage that's just deep enough for, the cars to get into, instead of being, having 2 cars deep in it, and using that as a garage and using the big shop for shop projects and the tractors and equipment and stuff and working on them. And so I'm just checking to see, catching up on the chat there. Oh, yeah. Some guy told him, this is prep for eternity saying, some guy told me cannabis was a good cover crop, but it was hard to understand. He talked real slow. Wow, man. He kept saying, oh, I'm hungry, man. Oh, wow. Look at the lights.
Well, technically, depending upon what state you actually live in, it could be a good cash crop too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Until, problem is you still have certain agencies that say, it's still illegal federally. We can do stuff to you.
Right.
Yeah. So, I'm just checking up here. Yeah. So, I mean, there are things you have to, notepad and paper. Write down ideas, look into them, see what it is, and then you got to figure out budgeting. How much money do you have to spend on it? And what is it worth? Is it worth spending that against the labor saved, or against the if you're trying to buy a piece of equipment or put up a new barn, or that would be a big barn, a little barn, or is it cheaper to buy a cargo container? Well, of course, now they're up to $6,000 each instead of $3,000. Or whatever it is you need to do. All right, do we need to get pigs? Is it going to be worth it to get pigs and raise pigs? Or is it going to be, cows are going to be a better option? Or is goats going to be the better option? And, there are a lot of channels out there that raise just goats. Some raise beef. Some raise goats and beef and pigs. You got to figure out and see what they say their problems are, because sometimes people don't tell you what the problems are in books, really, until you find someone there and they're on YouTube. Oh, we can make a good video about how this snafu went. So they go out and they show everything went wrong with their pigs. And you realize, I didn't know pigs had that type of a problem. So that's one of the things to do. And also then there's what type of animal am I going to get? It's what type of animal within the animals. Am I going to get small pigs, medium pigs, big pigs? Am I going to get a dairy cow, a beef cow, an Angus cow? Am I going to get the what type of cow is that? The Scottish Highland cow? Because up here in the cold up here, they do real well. Dave over at Imaginator Wood has some Scottish Highland cows, and he says they're great over there. And someone else up there has some yaks up in northern Idaho. So there's different things to look at as far as the area you live in and what works. I agree, Emma. Bacon, enough said. But the problem is, if someone else will do the raising the bacon for me and I can raise the beef, we can swap meat. Yes, Kaylin, that's something else my wife wants to do. And I agree, is get some bees. Now, the interesting thing is, though, there's a big bee company nearby here. And they said that they'd actually come out and put hives out here, because there are a lot of alfalfa fields around here, and nobody else around here is letting them put bees on. So we put bees here. The bees have all these alfalfa fields to go to. And so there's a way, well, basically they would give us, honey in exchange for being able to put 10, 15 hives out here. And yes, Kaylin, I saw that beef bacon video you did. That looks very interesting. I got to see if I can find any around here. I like raising small stuff I can handle easily. Chickens, rabbits, quail, and then hunting fish. Hunting is the other thing that I've got to think about doing, because the neighbors around, they all go deer hunting and elk hunting. And so there's, some even go up farther up into the Tetons to go after the bear. But yeah, that's something else to think about too.
Yeah, I know in Alaska, that's a biggie. Hunting and fishing is very, very big up there.
Oh yeah. And if you get the right, if you work all the permits right and get into the salmon fishing up there, Ray, you can also start doing a salmon smoking business type thing and ship it down here to the.
Yeah, I've looked at cost of shipping things from Alaska. I ain't gonna mess with it.
Yeah.
I'm just be honest.
Yeah.
But the main thing is when you're planning things out, you have to be realistic with your goals.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and say, "Oh, I'm going to have all this in the first year," which is because that's a bunch of crap. Anybody that's has property already knows, if you have a couple acres, you already know it's going to take you maybe a year to 2 years just to get that land worked so it's producing correctly enough for you. Then you start moving forward to other things and start incorporating some of those wants into it.
Yeah, I know. Like the because when I first bought the property over there in 2016, it was in just at between Halloween and Thanksgiving. We bought the property, and my daughter moved in a couple days before Thanksgiving because we were still living in California. I didn't retire until 2018, 2 years later. Just the work I came up here trying to do and stuff, and all the stuff that was friggin' wrong over there. And we've been slowly, bringing the land back up to functional state where we can actually we've put some gardens in. The 1 year I put all that corn in, and I found out, okay, this is why no one was growing a garden out here, because it is really nutrient weak. So threw out a bunch of cover crop seeds last year, and it grew up, and I just get in trying to get the nitrogen stuff back into the soil. But it's like one of my neighbors a couple miles away here. She has Dirt Patch Heaven is her channel, and she's been trying to get the tree companies to bring out the wood chips and stuff. And we're having down here, since we're so far from the two big cities on either side of us, and no one wants to deliver, get rid of the chips out here. She's having to buy from the sawmill $200 a dump truck load to get sawdust to help bring her soil back up. So that's one of the things you got to look at. What are you going to have to do to the soil to make it functional, and how fast do you want to do that? I know Courtney's been working on it and slowly enlarging her area that she's planting in and stuff. So there's a lot of things that you need to think about, and it all comes down money. You got to budget it to figure out what you're going to do, what you can do, and then you got to figure out which one you're going to do first. I got this want, and this want. Which one do I need to do first?
Kaylin, you're absolutely right, but that won't be done. She's talking about receiving the annual oil revenue distribution. You're right. I could. However, because I plan on moving there within the next 3 years, I can't retire yet. I can't retire for at least another 10 years, almost 10 years. So I will not be a technical resident of Alaska. I have to maintain my residency in the state of Arizona due to my job. That is the main requirement, other than having to come back every 9.5 months. But yeah, I mean, it sounds good, but it's not something I'm going to see for a very long time.
Okay, Emma has a question here, and everyone out there, good question. If you have any feedback on this. Now, I've heard of several homesteaders that have bought large loads of manure, and turned out that manure from the cattle, the cattle will be being fed alfalfa that had been sprayed by Grazon or something like that. It kills a lot of stuff, and that herbicide went through the cow because it was on the alfalfa, went through the cow into the cow's poop. They put it in their garden and it killed their garden. But I don't know about dirt.
Usually people that are having actual topsoil delivered have issues with the dirt that's on their ground already, such as some places that, I forgot who it was telling me their property was basically abused by industry and just have oil and all that other stuff. So yeah, those people will have topsoil brought in by the dump truck load.
Yeah. And Gardner Josh is asking you if you've ever hunted before.
Me, yes. However, my hunting has been small game, which was readily available, in Nebraska. I never did get a chance to go deer hunting or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's definitely an experience I'm waiting for and hoping to be able to partake in soon.
Mm-hmm. I'm just scrolling back, see what I missed here on the chat here. Yeah, and that's the problem too. Is your location is what natural insect hazards are there? You got fire ant and termites. Down where you're at, where my sister's at, they got the fire ants and killer bees, the Africanized bees, in Texas there. But up here, fortunately, up here, the termites that are around up here don't go after houses. They only go after dead tree stumps because the way the ground freezes and stuff. And they're not really that prevalent. They don't swarm a lot. No fire ants up here. No Africanized bees up here. But the soil is very alkali, like 9.5, 10 on the scale. And, so, any wood chips we can get to put in the soil to combat that helps out. The one pine tree, big pine tree we have across the street, because last year was so dry, it survived, but the two smaller ones died. And then the blue spruce that I had planted, even though I was trying to water them all the time, died because the conditions last year. So because I really didn't, because I'm across the street and over there, and my son-in-law said he was going to water them, and found out he didn't water them for 3 weeks. Oh, they're good. You got to water them once a month. No, you need to, new trees and stuff. You need to water them, every couple of days.
Oh yeah, those things need, when they're freshly planted, you'd be better off planting them in the lake. They will go through a lot of water.
Well, they went through the first winter okay, and so this was their second. They were planted in the summer, went through the winter. Last summer was the summer there. It was dry and everything, and they died. We have Satan's bug. Kim the fire ants.
Ammonia works really well with fire ants, but be careful with it.
Yeah. There's the other thing too is, of course, if you're trying to do in a garden area, you don't want to put out the big buckets of bait for them to eat up, take down into their ant colony and kill them from the inside, because now you have that poison left around down in it. Check one other thing here real quick. We're getting to that time. So one of the biggest problems though in investing in your homestead is the money you have to invest into it. And so so this will kind of pick up again on Monday. On the Monday Fireside Chat, is the topic for Monday is are you going to do a side hustle? And we talk about different types of side hustles to make money besides what your normal job and what else you're doing. One of the first YouTube channels that I followed a lot was Arms Family Homestead, and that was Daniel and his wife DJ. Her side hustle was as a photographer. He was a Oklahoma highway patrolman, and their YouTube channel turned out to be their side hustle, one of their side hustles. They were raising I'm trying to remember the goats, the Kiko goats from Australia, and they were selling goat meat. You're just selling the goats off fully ready to be butchered. Here's the goat. You go get it butchered yourself or do it yourself. And after 3 years, he was able to retire from the highway patrol because all their side hustles and stuff were producing more money than he was making for the highway patrol, and so much more that they could devote more time to it. So their side hustles became their primary income. And so he retired from being the highway patrol, which, given the circumstances last year, I wouldn't blame him at all for retiring.
I don't think it's really money that's a limiting factor. Like I always go back to, it's your goal setting. Being realistic and non-realistic. You can get away with a lot of things without money, but if your goal is not realistic to begin with, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right. Okay, so if you have a problem with ants, baby talc powder will wipe out the anthill. I wonder what causes it, whether it's the chemical reaction from the talc to the ants or something, or what?
Talc and chalk. They, for some reason, they do not like crossing the barriers made out of talc. And I think the talc is due to the fact that it does, just like roaches, it will basically dry out their exoskeleton, crack it, and just basically kill them from breaking their exoskeleton. But I know salt works, or not salt, chalk. Chalk works. They don't, for some reason, they just don't like crossing around chalk.
Yeah. Okay, Lewis says, I know someone at Grand Valley, Ontario, does Highland cows. She has them slaughtered on packaged and brought back to her the sale, and they did good. Oh, okay. Yeah. So hopefully you guys got some good ideas and thoughts on this. I know I picked up a couple tidbits there from the side chat, things to do differently. And I think, for when my wife finally decides if whatever type animal we're going to get is we're going to build a proper pen and shed, house, coop, whatever for the animals before we get the animals. I make sure, everything's good on that. And, we got, one of the things we know we have to invest in here is going to be fruit trees. And so we get the fruit trees in. The next thing that we're going to be investing in, and my wife finally, surprised me with this one. She wants to do a Wallapini greenhouse because it maintains temperature more evenly year round. And then, hey, maybe we'll be able to grow tomatoes year round and actually grow or be able to plant the orange trees in the ground inside of it, like the guy in Nebraska does in his Wallapini. Nope, lost them again. All righty. So I'm going to wrap this up here now. Thank you, everyone, for coming and making comments and suggestions in the side chat there. And thank you for all your support. Ray just started on YouTube. He's back on December 22nd. So tomorrow is his 1 month anniversary on YouTube. So go over to Fat Man Prepper
Oh, wait, it's my 1 month?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't even know that.
Tomorrow's the 22nd, 1 month.
Wow.
And so go over, check him out. He's got some interesting videos over there. He's been doing live streams every morning early. So, well, early for me, 5:30.
Well, I got to have something to do before work.
Yeah. So that's 5:30 Mountain Time. So that's 6:30, 7:30 Eastern. And you might check out as one of his lives. You're up that early for breakfast. And we will see you all later. And as always, stay happy no matter what life throws at you. Stay safe. Don't go out and do anything foolish. Keep adding to your preps, water, food, medicines, skills, and whatever else you'll need in case the balloon goes up, and they'll keep you living a comfortable lifestyle. All right.